Electric Cafe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is on The Ocean Blue, their 2019 album, Kings and Queens, Knaves and Thieves. This is their seventh album overall. The band is from Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is right now, about a 45-minute drive from. So they play locally a lot, here and there. And I got a chance to see them on tour for this particular album locally. But I first got wind of the Ocean Blue back in the late '80s when they first started. Their their albums and their singles were featured on 120 Minutes and a lot of college radio, indie radio. Played them a lot. They were on Sire Records and Reprise Records, so they got sort of compared to like the Smiths at the time, sort of like an American Smiths. Some people called it maybe because of the songwriting. Well, maybe not so much the songwriting, but sort of like the kind of in Johnny Marr type guitar riffs that sort of are very a lot of harmony and a lot of catchiness and creativity as well, and kind of a new alternative pop music. And so they got quite a bit of success and through the early '90s. I remember seeing them on like Conan O'Brien in the mid '90s, and um, overall they had seven albums. But after that fifth album, they sort of like many bands, with after a decade or so, styles change in music, things change in your life, and they sort of stopped making music for the most part. But I think they were still touring around that. I think it was still their main job. But they had a level of success where when they did kind of come back and finally make a sixth album back in 2013, um, I think their fans were eager to um, hear their new music and really support them. And really in the past couple of years, especially after the pandemic and things like that, like their I think their ability to play live and their concerts have kind of helped kind of take them to a still a strong cult following 35 years since they first started. Or since they first started releasing music, probably a few earlier years earlier to that, they were kind of getting started. But um, they've made a nice return, and it's kind of a feel good story for any any band that kind of comes back and is able to make a strong career, and hopefully they come out with some more albums. It's been almost 6 years since this album came out, and hopefully they'll bring out another album soon. But I saw them touring recently, as soon as like 5 months ago. So they're still do some pocket tours here and there, not necessarily like a big 40 date tour date, but they do like 5 to 7 dates here and there, and um, up and down the East Coast for the most part. But they do get out to the West Coast occasionally, and some Midwest as well. But I would really encourage you to, if you ever get a chance to see them, you probably won't hear it, with much notice. It'll be on the down low that they're coming, but a worthy band checking out, and they can hold your attention for 2 hours. They got a good discography, and they have a lot of strong songs. Some of their most popular ones from earlier in the day are like Between Something and Nothing, Drifting and Falling, Ballerina Out of Control, Cerulean, Marigold, Mercury, Sublime. Those are a handful of their probably most popular songs. David Schletzler, I believe, Shez, Schelzer, is that how you pronounce it? God, I'm bad at pronouncing names. He has a good voice. He reminds me of Bernard Sumner, except a little bit more airy. He has a sincere voice. It's expressive, a little bit vulnerable, a little weak sometimes. It doesn't, because he kind of sings kind of airy. There's certain notes that maybe his voice isn't necessarily the most powerful for, but because he's sincere and he sings well and the music's so good, it definitely works with the music. You won't. I don't think anybody will say he's not a good singer, but he's not really a powerful singer, but it works really well with the music and in kind of a dream pop indie pop, even maybe even a little shoegaze sometimes as well. But for the most part, they're an indie pop band. They do kind of have like a campfire sing along sound, which sometimes I call, where there's a lot of acoustic guitars and this album for the most part is very acoustic guitar driven as far as probably that's how they start writing their songs and sort of get them together and build the songs is from an original a guitar riff that they make and a chord progression that they make and sort of go from there. Um, but I think in the most I think the key to their sound I think is his voice and their harmonies, and a lot of times their choruses take their sound to another level, which is great as well. Um, as far as like well, I guess I'll go in the opportunities a little bit after this, but that's kind of the overview of Ocean Blue for my side of things. As far as the album, there's 11 tracks on here. The first song, Kings and Queen. Again, I changed my point system. I doubled it from a 1 to 5 system and went from 1 to 10. So I could just got felt like that was like more easier to have more room for the to rate the songs, but actually it would go into rating the albums 1 through 100 a lot better. So just look at my notes if you want to see my new scoring system, but it's basically double what it was on the songs, and the albums is still the same. Although I adjusted the bottom level, which 1 to 4 on the albums, which I'm sure you'll probably will rarely see on my channel, anyways. I mean, unless somebody requests something that's abysmal or just not for me. Um, but yeah, the title song, the first single of the album, was called "Kings and Queens." They actually had a video for this. I don't. I see it as probably the most straightforward overall, maybe catchy song, but it's really not my ideal version of their songs, and it's also really not my kind of secondary song styles of theirs. It's kind of maybe a little bit more like Paraguay, My Love in here, which is probably my least favorite song on here. This is a little bit more in that range. Still a very catchy song, and I'm sure people will enjoy it, and I still think it's a pretty good song, but not really my ideal Ocean Blue star song, or you know their sort of secondary song where they're more atmospheric or more like a ballad or something like that, or dreamy or something like that. Like they seem to have most for the most part sort of two styles that, but this is kind of more the lesser of that, but it's maybe a little bit more straightforward and maybe trying to be a single. Um, sometimes a little bit faster. Sometimes on those singles or the songs that I don't necessarily like as much, I tend to like the ones that are a little bit more moody or atmospheric. But this is a good song still. I gave it a 5.5. It takes so long. Track number 2 I like a little bit better. I give that six stars. This is more towards their vintage sound, kind of a catchy guitar riff and smoother sung, verses and just has like a more smoother sound. This is a little bit more towards their vintage style. I give that one 6 stars. The third track, doesn't Love Doesn't Make It Easy on Us, is my second favorite track on the album. I gave it a 7.5. Definitely a very good song for sure. This one moves a little bit more towards dream pop. Um, Nice atmosphere. The female vocal is a really nice touch, adds a nice layer to the chorus. And Yeah, I really like this track. 7.5 stars. All the Way Blue is track number 4, which is my favorite track, which they also had a single on, and it was a video as well. And this is the song that really caught my eye to buy this album at the time. Here's the vinyl version here, and I also did buy the CD version over here. I'm on my right. Um, Nice artwork, by the way. Nice packaging, solid release sounding as well. If you get the vinyl, really solid sounding, and the CD is mastered very nicely, not over the top and not loud. So it's a nice recording as well. And considering that they produce it themselves, um, that says a lot for them as far as them kind of expressing the sound that they want to get across on albums, because they if you like the albums, you'll what I found out is you'll like them live as well, because they and they actually even impress you more live than I thought they would. And I think at the end of the song they were doing at this particular tour they did a cover version of "Love Will Tear Us Apart" by Joy Division at the end of their shows, and they started. I think they did "West End Girls." Cover song too, which was really creative and unique, and you can tell like when they did some songs that you know and turned them into sort of indie pop songs, and just their overall talent live, like you could tell that even if you like the albums, you'll like them more live. And yeah, I was really impressed with them live specifically. But All the Way Blue was the reason why I bought this album. Like it kind of really rejuvenated my interest in their band. Obviously, like I said earlier, they after the '90s they sort of went away for 10, 15 years. I didn't even know that they came back in 2013 with their sixth album. The one before this, I didn't even know that they came back, and you know, so much interested in other music as well. So sometimes you kind of lose track of some artists, but it was such a this kind of really kind of got me back into them and sort of enjoying their music once again from their early career, and this kind of balanced out the sound and goes perfect with it. So it kind of makes me hopeful for a strong future for them as well. So hopefully they put out another album. But again, all the way blue, all the way blue. Sorry, I gave this song it's my favorite song on the album. I gave it 8.25 stars. So really strong song. It's like an anthem. Um, Again, this made me want to buy the record. The keyboard is really key. This one's more moody, definitely more towards the dream pop. The piano is a really nice addition. The keys in the chorus are beautiful. It's more of a little bit more of a driving groove. It's actually dancey in some respect as well. The higher guitar effects is really nice. Kind of takes it to the guitar solo and then the crescendo at the end. Just really an anthem song. Just really a very fine tuned, smooth, polished, catchy song. Just such a great song. One of their best, I think, in their career. It matches right up there with, for me, with Drifting and Falling, Ballerina Out of Control, and Cerulean, which is probably some of my favorite songs they ever did. Um, and then it's really, really good video as well. And was really great was they started, I think they, if I remember correctly, this was either the first or the second song they played when they started the concert, and it was really like the video with the blue lights and the imagery of the album behind, and they did a really solid job, and I was really impressed. I'm glad I took my brother and his wife to the show and kind of bought their tickets and was like, hey, let's go check them out. And thankfully they did because I think in some ways they sort of made a fan of them. Well, my brother, anyways, and my brother's wife, who's actually from this area originally from Lancaster, she kind of remembered them because they're again a local band. She sort of remembered them from the '80s and early '90s, so I think she kind of really appreciated going to see them live and their music. And again, it was just a really nice, succinct concert, probably hour and a half to hour and 45, and they kept your attention through the whole. I think everybody was really happy. All the people going there were like really happy, like talking about it through the rest of the night as everybody left, and they play locally occasionally. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to see them again soon. But yeah, 8.25 stars for All the Way Blue. Really good song. Now the next song, Paraguay, My Love, the fifth track. I think it's catchy. It's straightforward, but it's not really ideal towards what I like. Maybe a bit too poppy, maybe a bit too fast. I like more songs when they do more atmosphere and maybe more melodic choruses and things like that. And yeah, I just feel that the song's maybe a little bit too poppy for me, but it's on. I gave it four and 3/4 stars, 4.75. I think it's on the high side of an okay song. It's close to being pretty good, but it's my least favorite song on the album. I think other people will like it a lot more than I do. It's just kind of a preference thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with the album, wrong with the song at all. It's just, it's ideally not my style that they do. Um, which kind of ties to their later '90s albums when I think they kind of fell out of favor as sort of the trends of the '90s sort of went on. I think they maybe sounded a little bit too much like this, in my opinion. Track number six is called F Major 7, which is basically a minute and a half little guitar interlude. It's a nice track though. It's moody though, so I tend to like it for even it being a short song. I give it 5.25 stars. The limit three. The limit I like a little bit better. This one sounds a lot like Electronic, which was New Order's side project with Johnny Marr, and which again sort of ties it to kind of it feeling like a Johnny Marr Smith sort of song, but it be electronic. So if you really like New Order and you know a lot about electronic sound, you can kind of see the difference of New Order and electronic. And this is kind of more towards the the last album of electronic, Twisted Tenderness in 2000. If you remember that album, this sounds very much like that time. And because he sounds a little bit like Bernard Sumner, it even reminds me more of their music. This one I like a little bit better than the last, 5.75 stars. Also, therein lies the problem with my life. Track 7, I also gave 3.25 star, or sorry, 5.75 stars. And then track number 9, which is called 9 p.m. Direction. This is my third favorite track on the album. I gave it 7.25 stars. More moody, again, towards my liking. Nice melody, good atmosphere. So that's right up my alley. So I like it more. It's just, I think that's kind of one of the opportunities I was going to say about the album is you like some songs, you'll love some songs, and some songs are okay. Are pretty good, but you're like, they're not bad songs in any respect. It's just a preference towards what you like. Um, Step into the Night, track number 10, really good song as well. I gave it 6.5 stars. And then the last track is kind of an interesting closer. I can see why it's the closer. It's a little bit more, it's the most somber song on the album, but it is hopeful. It's kind of a ballad, but it's right at like 3 minutes. I feel it's like a little short. I feel like it could have been a little bit better. Like of any of the songs that I would critique as far as they could have done more with and took it to another level. I feel like it's track number 11 called Frozen. I still gave it 5.75 stars. I still think it's on the high side of a pretty good song. It's just maybe a little bit short, and I feel like it kind of there was something in there that they could have took to a higher level, in my opinion. But I still think it's about average in this on the songs for the most part and where they sit. So definitely again not any really complaints about the song, just maybe an opportunity of something that could have been expanded upon a little bit better. Overall, the album 68.25 stars divided by 11 is a 6.20, so it's right in the low side of a good album. And just for the overall enjoyment of the album, I gave it a couple extra points and gave it a 65 out of 100, right in the middle of a good album. Um, Again, I think you'll really like some songs. You'll think some songs are pretty good, and you'll think some songs are okay. Really depends on what style of the music you like and what style of this type of indie pop that you might like. Um, I just wish if there was any critique on the overall album, just maybe a little bit more atmosphere, a little bit, maybe some interesting sounds here. Like some songs really stuck out when they add a little bit of atmosphere, a little bit more keyboards. There's really only a couple songs with keyboards for the most part, but all of them have good harmonies and melodies. So it's almost like you're not really missing it having keyboards. But then when you hear a song like All the Way Live or Love Doesn't Make It Easy on Us, you sort of they hit like another level, and it really kind of takes their '90s music into 2019 or more relative now, and adds another layer to their music, in my opinion. But yeah, hoping to look forward to more music from them. But I would think if I took all their 7 albums, this is probably in the somewhere around maybe around the fourth or fifth favorite album. I definitely like Cerulean and their first album, self-titled album, better. Probably their third album, and a little bit better. And the last album, the album before this, is the only album of the seven that I haven't heard. So I'm staying somewhere probably around four or five, maybe. I don't think maybe third. Definitely fourth or fifth out of their seven albums. But they're very tight. It would be very close between three through six. Again, I haven't heard one of the albums, but three through six is very close. I would imagine all probably around 60 to 68, somewhere in there. I think their first two albums would probably be in the low sevens, if I was to guess. Um, but this is a very concise, consistent album for the most part. Again, there was only one song that I felt was like less than pretty good. And that was at the high side of okay at a four and a quarter, 4 and 3/4 stars. So solid album, and an enjoyable album. It's definitely an album you put on and you can just kind of sing along and nice and peaceful. For the most part, David sings about love and love lost, and for the most part, it's about things that anybody can relate to. So it's not like there's any kind of crazy political or, you know, it's mostly about emotions with love and caring and things like that. So it's you know, probably about the most important things you can think of, really, if you're a sensitive person or a caring person, or somebody that has a lot of love. Like he writes a lot about love, and nothing wrong with that, right? The world needs more love. So yeah, good album, 65 out of 100. Really appreciate it. Wondering if you have an opinion on it. If you have an opinion on the band, or what are your three favorite songs, and maybe what's your favorite album? Curious your thoughts on this album or the band overall. All right, thanks so much.